Welcome to Marketing Adventures with Carmel. You are watching this on social media. Give us a thumbs up, put a comment below if you have any questions whatsoever. And if you're on YouTube, make sure that you hit that subscribe button that will be around here somewhere and hit the bell as well so that you can be alerted anytime some of this gold is uploaded. This is where we interview some inspiring and real business builders and exceptional entrepreneurs who have overcome hurdles to build their business success, and they're happy to share some of that gold with us. Why reinvent the wheel, right? So during these interviews, we're going to share you some tips and tricks and insights in how to market your business and how to actually grow it and how to get over some of the actual humps and hurdles on the way. My amazing guest today is Jono. Now make sure I pronounce this properly, Jono. Jono Petrolis. Is that right?
There we go. There we go. Are you Greek? Are you, Carmel? Are you Greek too?
No, I did go to Greece 3 years ago, actually, for the first time in my life. Welcome, Jono. Introduce yourself a little bit as into who is Jono?
Yes, good question. So, in a nutshell, I run a few different businesses. My major business is Fitness Education Online. That's a business where I run online courses for fitness professionals, personal trainers, helping them grow their fitness business in a nutshell. Yeah. Now, very successful business. I've been doing it for 5 or 6 years now. It's one of the largest providers of online courses for personal trainers in the world. Generates about $1 million a year in revenue, which I'm very proud of. Award-winning business. I won the Fitness Educator of the Year award last year, which I'm very proud of there. So that's going really well. And what started to happen is, well, not started, what kind of happened is I no longer do any fitness stuff, right? It's just all online course stuff helping fitness professionals. So I started to get a little bit distant from the fitness industry and get more into like the course side of things. And I was like, you know what? I still want to always do this fitness stuff and keep educating fitness professionals. But I feel like I'm more passionate when it comes to now the course side of things and helping online course creators. So I've now started a new business recently, the Course Creator Community, where I essentially help people create and launch and sell their online courses. And I use fitness education as like my lab. It's like, here's what I'm doing over here in Fitness Education Online. Here's how you can emulate it here with whatever your business is. So that's
I love that. I love that, Jono, because you didn't start out to put courses together and build courses. But as entrepreneurs and business owners, as we grow, once you keep an open mind, it's like when opportunity presents itself, that's where you can go down that way. So it's like me with marketing, when I started learning marketing because I knew nothing about it. And then people were going, what are you doing? Show me that. And I was like, oh, okay. And that's how I went into marketing in the first place. So I love that you took opportunity of, hang on, it's not just fitness, it's the same process that you can replicate across the board depending on your industry.
Correct.
Yeah, awesome. So I know along with that as well, and you're going to share with us a few tips about how to build a Facebook group. But just before we get into that, tell us a little bit about Jono as were you born in Greece? Were you born in Australia? How did Jono get here and even get into fitness in the first place?
Yes, wow, okay. So there's so many stories I could share there. I want to simplify it for the listeners. So I'm born and brought up in Australia. You know, as you can probably tell by my accent, you know, there's no Greek in there. But my parents are from Greece, so that's where I get the name. And it's funny, you know, it's like always in Australia, no one can pronounce my surname. You know, whenever I go places, I'm like, hey, I'm John Petrohilos. They're like, oh, spell Petrohilos. I do go to Greece occasionally, and then it's the opposite. They're like, what's your name? I'm like, oh, John Petrohilos. They're like, Petrohilos, easy. How do you spell John? And I'm like, I'm Australian myself. The fitness story, I don't want to bore you with that because most of the people listening aren't really fitness people. But to cut a long story short, fitness really helped me in my life. Finished high school, didn't know what I was going to do, so started being a personal trainer. Wasn't very good at it to start with. Was actually really, really bad. So I started working at a boot camp, Carmel, and the locations all over Australia and New Zealand, right? 75 of them, and you were ranked how good you were, right? Number 1 being the best, 75 being the worst. Take a guess what you think I was ranked when I signed up.
Look, I'm going to say, a part of me wants to say number one, but the tone of your story is probably 76.
Pretty much, right? 75. I was dead last.
Yeah, right.
And it wasn't like I was the worst one there, right? And it wasn't like I thought it was I was the worst one there. It wasn't imposter syndrome. It was statistically proven that I was the worst personal trainer there. I'd log onto my dashboard and there was a pie chart telling me how bad I was. You know you suck when there's a pie chart telling you how bad you are, right?
Yeah.
I had to have a meeting at the end of the year with the franchise owners. And they were like, Jono, you're coming 75th out of 75. What's going on? You're better than that. And I came up with every excuse in the book. I made up a few as well. I was like, it's not my fault. It's the competition. There's a gym on every corner. There's online. There's Instagram. There's 24-hour gyms. There's budget gyms, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, also, it's the marketing. You guys are the franchise people. You're meant to be doing the marketing. All the leads you're getting me are crap. None of them are signing up. And I'm like, also, it's the weather. Like I'm in Sydney. It rains in Sydney. It's not the Gold Coast or, I think I blamed the government as well. Probably blamed COVID. It hadn't even happened then, but I blamed it anyway.
I love it.
And they were like, look, Jono, we got good news and we got bad news. The bad news is as a personal trainer, you suck. You've seen the pie chart. You're coming 75th. But the good news is you can do something about it. Because at the moment, you're blaming everybody else but yourself. Maybe it's not the competition's fault that you suck. Maybe it's your fault you haven't done enough to be better than the competition. What courses have you done? What workshops have you been to? What seminars have you attended? And I was like, oh, good point. Nothing since I got my qualifications.
Yeah.
And they were like, marketing. Our marketing sucks, does it? Is it our marketing that sucks? Or is it your sales that sucks? What sales books have you read? What business coaches have you hired? And I was like, oh, I got to do that too. And they were like, and also, if your marketing is that bad, why don't you go out and do some of your own? And I was like, good point. And they were like, the weather. They're like, Jono, you're blaming the weather. You can go out and hire a school hall or a church hall for $20. You can solve your biggest problem for $20, but you're too busy sitting here blaming everybody else but yourself. And I was like, oh, that hit home.
Yeah,
They were like, Jono, your job's safe, but what we want you to do for the next year is just stop blaming everybody else but yourself. If there's an issue, that's fine, but go and fix that issue. And I was like, okay, it's a good way to look at things, and learned a whole lot more in the seminar and all the work, the conference or whatever, but implemented it. And essentially what I did, the first thing I did when I got back to Sydney was, all right, let me go and do a course, on how to get better as a personal trainer. Not the how to become a personal trainer one, how to run a better, like a
business.
Yeah. I went to it and it was great. Got all these ideas. I think I paid $400-500 for the course or whatever, but got a few clients directly as a result of the strategies I learned, which made 2-3 times the money back. And then I did another one. And and not even just courses, also read books, watched YouTube videos, spoke to people, even just attended other trainers' classes. I went to the gym and saw who were the popular trainers. Let me go to their classes and see what they do.
See what they're doing. Yes, love it.
And long story short, went back to that same convention 12 months later, Carmel. Now, what do you think I was ranked?
Number one.
Yes, number one.
Pretty sure.
Went from 20 clients to 100 clients. Yeah. Went from a 30% retention rate to 104% retention rate. Then opened up a second location. And then the next year was number 1 and 2 on both of those locations there. So became really good as a personal trainer, but not naturally good. But that was a good thing, because it was now I had a system. Because if you're just naturally good, you're fit, you're charismatic, whatever, okay, you can't really teach someone else how to be good. It's just like, it's easy, I'm good at it, do it. But I was the worst. I was 75th. So I'm like, I don't care how bad someone else is. They can't be as bad as me if they use these strategies.
The system.
The system, exactly. So, and then it got to a point I was going really well at boot camp. And I can't remember the exact kind of moment, but I liked helping other trainers. Because the other 74 trainers would ask me, Jono, what do you do for this? What do you do for this? And it was kind of hard for me to give one answer, because it's like, well, there's a whole system going on. I can't just give one answer to sometimes I can, but like there's a whole system going on there. And I was always upskilling and doing courses. And I would always learn something from the courses.
Yeah.
I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I feel like I could put together something better than anything else out there. I'll go to a course and they'll teach something, but I think either better or different. They might teach it in, you know, maybe if you're a one-on-one personal trainer in a gym, okay, that's fine. But what if you run your outdoor boot camp? It's kind of a bit different, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, I think I can put together something that's better or different than anything else out there. And I hooked up with my business partner at the time there, Travis. So we created it together from here. And I was like, all right, I want to put together a course, but I didn't want to do a face. This is back in 2014 or something, you know, like online.
Years ago.
Yeah. About 8 years ago now or something.
Yeah.
Like 7, I don't know, 6, I don't know, something, 6 years ago.
I don't know, something.
Yeah, but I didn't want to do a face-to-face course because I was like, you know, what if no one comes, you know, or worse, what if one person comes? Then I actually got to run the session, you know? I got to find a venue. I got to work on Sundays. It's my only day off. I don't want to do that. So I was like, let me try this online thing, you know? It wasn't a big thing then. You know, Kajabi, ClickFunnels, these things didn't exist. Or they probably existed, but I didn't know about
them. They were in
know?
their infancy very much.
Yeah.
And
I was like, all right, how do I do this online course thing? I guess I need a website. So I inquired about a website person. They were like, yep, we can create you a website with an online course platform and it'll be $20,000. And I was like, oof, it's a lot of money for this, you know? So I was like, I'm not going to do that. And then I was just, scrolling through Facebook and I saw an ad for an ebook. And back in 2014, I didn't know what an ebook was. And I was like, ebook? What's an ebook? Let me click on this, clicked it, bought it. Because back in those days as well, ebooks were actually valuable. It wasn't just a one-page PDF to get my email. It was actually a good ebook. So I bought it and I was like, hold on. I mean, this is good content, but this is just a Microsoft Word document saved as a PDF. Now, I'm a technological dunce. I was a fitness guy, but I know how to open Microsoft Word and press save as PDF.
Yeah.
Maybe I can create an ebook, and that's my online course. So created this ebook, and it was sick. It was a good ebook, about 90 pages. So really, it was more a manual, than an ebook, but it was kind of ebook format for the course. Yeah, and it was good. It wasn't, get your email. Here's a few tips. It was everything that I'd learned to go from 75 to 1. Put it together. I'm like, this is great content, but there was a problem, right? It just looked like a Microsoft Word document. And I was like, what am I going to do?
It ain't pretty.
Yeah. And I took the night off work and I tried to make it look good. And I made it look worse, because if you don't know Microsoft Word, there's indents come in and page breaks. And
I hear you. So and then you can't reverse them.
Exactly. Well, I'm like, I give up. Let me try and find something on Google. Went on Google and I stumbled across the website Fiverr. And I'm like, this is amazing. It's changed a bit now, but back in those days, you could get anything you want done for $5. Yeah. I still remember there was a guy on there that said he would slap himself in the face for $5.
Okay.
That's weird, but I couldn't scroll past, so I bought it. I was like, I've got to see, is this real, So I bought it, paid the guy $5, and he sent me an email like a couple minutes later of him slapping himself in the face. And he didn't hold back. It was a good use of my $5, And I was like, okay, I respect this guy. And then I got back to think. But then I was looking for someone to edit. But I got thinking. I was like, hold on. He didn't say my name in that video. And then I went back to this video. It was an unlisted YouTube video, right? That had 200,000 views on it.
Oh my gosh.
Slapped himself in the face once, right? Put it on YouTube as unlisted, went on Fiverr and he sold 200,000. I mean, my math sucks, but that's a lot of money. I know obviously Fiverr takes the card or whatever, but either way, that was a good lesson for me. I was like, oh, hold on. This guy can do that. He creates the thing once and he sold it 200,000 times. And this guy had, not to be rude, but he had like no personality, no charisma.
He just hit himself in the face.
I'm like, if this guy can do it, what's my excuse,
Yeah.
But anyways, that also taught me, oh, hold on, here's how I can get some video content there. So create, because
Yes.
the original ebook was just words, right? But I was
Yeah.
like, hold on, let me create some videos, get it unlisted, get that unlisted YouTube link, put it in the ebook. Now it's a way better course
Yes.
because I've got text and I've got video as well.
Yeah.
And then also found someone to do the graphics and whatnot. And they made it, I mean, it wasn't amazing. It was $5 on Fiverr, but you know, they put some, you know, page numbers and some
Yeah, but it was a
headings.
start. And I have to commend you for obviously with the bosses that you had, or the franchise owners that you had. A lot of people would have given up then. I talk quite often about kind of the feedback loop. It's like, you know, what happens, and people get a result and they decide whether it's failure or success. And it's like, well, no, is it effective or ineffective to the outcome you want? And if it's ineffective, what do you need to learn, what do you need to know, and all that. So obviously you had that frame of mind even then to go, okay, maybe that's possible, instead of, nah, I'm done, I'm never going to do it again, which was amazing.
It was good and bad, you know. It was kind of like, the reason why I had that mindset was because I had no other option. It's kind of like, I'm going to be a loser, you know. I'm going to lose this job. I'm going to have to tell my parents and my friends, like, I'm a loser at what I do. I'm so bad at that. I got that was my key. Yeah, I was kind of like, man, I'm going to just listen. And also the other thing that was good about that conference I went to as well is I heard the franchise owner's story. And she had a similar kind of, because like I just looked at it and I was like, she's probably born rich, you know, easy.
Yeah,
girl,
she's always been doing it.
And then she's got her story where she's kind of like, you know, look, I dropped out of high school, you know, I started working at Valley Girl. I got fired from Valley Girl and I had no qualifications, no, you know, no experience, nothing. So I started this boot camp and now I've built it to 75 locations. And I was like, and I had a university degree in exercise physiology. I'm like, what the hell's my excuse? This is and nothing against a high school dropout, but it's just, it seems in person. Hold on, you know, if that person's a high school dropout, got fired from Valley Girl, and they can do 75 locations, that was my excuse. You know, you don't have to be born rich and all this stuff, you know?
Yeah, I love that. And then from there, from, you know, the personal trainers and bringing it into the course, and then obviously it's as online becomes easier to get them into a Facebook group and talk to them and really converse with them. And I know then, as you've said earlier, then you take that into teaching people how to do courses. So what have you found in that area that has been really key to engagement? Look, so many people are very, very busy, as you know, Jono, and online space is like this all the time. So what makes a really highly engaged group? Because I know you have a course creators community group, which I'm part of. What makes it so highly engaged versus, and I've seen some people's group that are 10 and 12,000 and they're bugger all engagement in them. Yeah. So what makes it different? Like, what did you put in place to make sure that people would engage?
Gotcha. Okay, that's a good question. Now we can go two different ways with this, Carmen. Well, let me know which way you want to go. So when I look at a Facebook group, I look at it in kind of three different things. There's growth, there's engagement, and there's monetization, right? Yeah. And they all kind of work separately. So when I started my fitness education online group, I learned this by trial and error. So when I started the course creator, I was able to say, right, here's the strategies I'm going to use to grow it. Here's the strategies I'm going to use to get engagement. Here's the strategies I'm going to use to sell. Now, I know originally today we're going to speak about the growth side of things. We can go that pathway, or we can go the engagement pathway, or we can do a bit of both. Which way do you want to go?
Well, look, you've mentioned three, so I'm going to go, well, there's three. Let's do things in threes. Give us the three tips in each one.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Cool. Okay. All right, let's start with the growth side of things because that's kind of where it starts as well.
Yeah.
And I might give a few more than because a few of the growth ones are easy. So I'll kind of bundle up the easy ones and then one or two, right? So the first thing I recommend, if you want to start a Facebook group, because there's probably going to be different people watching this, either starting, already have one. So
and some people have one, but it's stagnant. You know what I mean? So they want to resurrect it. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll cover that one in the engagement side of things. For the growth side of things, if you're just starting one, my key suggestion would be don't start one. right? Unless you have about 50 to 100 people to get in at the start, okay? Because if you open a Facebook group and there's 7 people in there, there's no community. And that's going back to your question earlier. The real value of a Facebook group is the community. What you want, it's not so much what I post in my group. What I want is my members to be like, you know what, I can go in this group and post a question and I'm going to get a heap of replies from other people down there, right? Or they know, this group is great. There's always people asking these really good questions and I can go and read the comments and get really good ideas in the comments there. That's the value, right? Yeah. So, but to do that, you need some people in there. And it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? If you start a group with 7 people, it's just so hard work. It's not even worth it. You're better off just building your profile on Facebook, and I'll speak about how to do that in a sec. Once you've got about 50 to 100 people you think you can start a group with, great, start it. And it doesn't have to be like all 50 might not join, maybe 30 join or 40 join, but that's enough to get some conversation going in there. And also from the start, it's so much easier if there's engagement in that group from day one, as opposed to, because you might be thinking, well, I'll start with 7 now, and then in 3 months' time I'll build it. But it just doesn't work like that. No. You're better off just, instead of starting now and slowly building for 3 months, just build your presence organically for 3 months and then start the group with a bang, right?
Yeah.
Now, the question is going to be, John, how do you do that? Well, a few simple things. Number one is optimizing your personal Facebook profile. I'm sure if someone's, watching this, they probably know what we mean by that. It's just making sure that your Facebook looks somewhat businessy. It doesn't have to be super businessy, but, it's because what you're essentially going to do once that's optimized is interact in other Facebook groups. And we'll speak about that in a sec. But let's say you've got your personal profile super private and no one can see what you do, and you go and give tips in Facebook groups. Who's this dad, stay-at-home dad? Why am I going to listen to him, But they're like, well, who's this guy trying to tell me tips? They go to the profile. Oh, okay. This guy's actually some good tips.
Exactly.
He's a freebie. Oh, I might, I might actually follow this guy. I might enter my details in here, right? So you have optimized the profile. The next thing is then interacting in similar Facebook groups. Now, the important thing here, it's not going into other Facebook groups and trying to poach members. It's not going into other Facebook groups and, posting your offers, or even not even posting tips straight away, to be honest, because people are going to be like, who are you? I don't know you. Why am I going to listen to you, right? The best thing to do when starting off is join these groups and just be a good member of the community, right? Go in those groups and just scroll through and just like every post that's relevant to you. And if you've got an answer that can help, give that answer. Don't send the person a friend request. Don't try and sell them something. You're just genuinely being a good member of the community. Yeah, you might have a little bit of an ulterior motive and hope that they add you as a friend.
Everything has a strategy.
It's not why you're doing it. That's just a nice side effect of doing the right thing, right?
Yeah, and when they, as you say, when they come to your profile, then they go, okay, cool.
Exactly, and on top of that as well, the other thing you're doing there is warming up your algorithm and getting known in the group. So let's say, for example, I do that for a month. I just go in there and help as many people as I can. Maybe that group has a promo date that allows me to promote, right? If I go in there now and promote after I've spent a month of being an active member of that group, I'm going to get so much more people opting into my thing and joining my group because I've been a member of that. So it's kind of like the work you do at the start, So that's kind of the basics you need to do there. It's like optimize your profile, join Facebook groups, be a good member of those groups. The best possible outcome, this can't always happen, but the best possible outcome is if you can be the go-to person in someone else's group on like a different topic. So let's just say, for example, in my Facebook group, the Course Creator Community Facebook group, there's a guy in there, Andy, who's a weapon at Google Ads. Right? Yeah. He's not as active as he used to be, but like when he was first in the group, any Google Ads question, he would just answer out of the goodness of his heart, no ulterior motive, right? So now if anyone asks any Google Ads question, I just tag Andy straight away.
Yeah.
He gets clients from me because he was just a good member of the group at the start, and I don't teach Google Ads. There's another guy that's a New Zenler expert, another person's a Kajabi expert, another person's a podcast, or like there's different experts that aren't in direct conflict with me, but still help my people. And that doesn't always happen because, you might be in a group and there's already a video expert in there. You're gone, Or if it's a group that's another video experts group, well, you can't be the expert if it's there, but that's an option, right? But they're the basics. That's not enough to grow a group. but that's like the prerequisites, right?
Yeah.
Now I'll give just 3 easy strategies to grow a Facebook group. The easiest one is groups that allow promos. So there's usually groups in your space that allow promos, usually on certain days or under a thread. You want to be a member of those groups, and that's one method you use. Now, even that's its own strategy in its own. It usually doesn't work well to promote your group in someone else's group, but you can promote your freebie in there, and then
PDF.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got obviously things in place to join your group there. Obviously, you need to make sure that you've got a good lead magnet, you know how to post, all that sort of stuff there. We don't have the time to go into that today, but I just want to plant to see a strategy to grow your group is right up with, you know, Monday I post in this group, Tuesday in this group, Wednesday in this group, you know, and you go through them.
I use Airtable as a thing to sort out everything like that.
Exactly. Or Trello. You can even just bookmark, you know, you can even just bookmark the groups, right? Monday, this group, Tuesday, this group. So those options there. Now, there's not always going to be, depending on where you are, you may not be able to find a lot of good groups that allow you to do that, because it's kind of like a balance. Groups that allow a lot of promos are usually bad groups. It's just like people just going there to promote, not to buy, you know?
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah, there's usually some good ones in the space, but you may not be able to have a heap of good ones, and you may burn through them pretty quick, right? So you need some other strategies in place. Another one I like, and this another strategy you can use, and this one works well if groups don't allow promos at all, is just a looking to connect post, right? So let's use Carmel, for example. She could go into my group and be like, you know, hey, people, course creator here from Perth, would love to connect with other Aussies. Any other Aussies in the group? And anyone that comments yes down below, Carmel can now connect with them. She's not going to connect with them and send them a DM and try and sell them, right? But she's going to connect with those people. They see her profile. They're going to see her content. You know, they'll go through the funnel that way there. And that's like a nice way to do it, because you're not being sleazy. You're just saying, hey, I'm from Australia. Does anyone else want to connect with us? With me, right?
And just a friend request. And as you say, they look, if there's something of interest, then it's not sleazy. It's
Exactly. So that's another strategy you can use there. And then another one is just adding friends from your suggested friends list. So if you go to Facebook, you go to suggested friends, Facebook will suggest your friends. They're usually people that are in your niche or space. Now, that one's going to depend what your expertise is, right? If you're in the business space, it's pretty easy. If you're in other spaces, it's not always that easy. And also that works better kind of like the more friends you already have. Like if I go to Facebook now, every single person on my suggested will either be a fitness trainer or a course creator, right?
Yeah.
That's because I've been doing this for years, you know? If someone's got no connection, or if their only connections on Facebook are their current friends and family, well, the suggested friends are just going to be their friends and family, you know? Weirdo, their friend's dad or whatever. So what I recommend doing if you want to warm up your algorithm, but without poaching members from other groups, because it's kind of like a fine line. It's kind of like, I've got all these people here that are my potential people, but if I just go into that group and add all these people, well, you know, the group admin will probably kick me out. I look like, then my reputation goes yada, yada, yada. So what I recommend doing there is you're in multiple Facebook groups in your niche anyway. If you see the members in that group, there's a section that says members in common. Members with things in common, right? And they're people that you have mutual friends with. And if you click on that, you'll see how much mutual friends you have and how many similar groups you're in, right? What I recommend doing is find people that are in multiple similar groups as you, that are in like 3, 4, 5 similar groups as you, because if they're in 5 groups similar to your one, they probably want to be in your group as well. They're people that like being in groups of that space. That's a big difference between going into one group and just adding people from that one group there. You're only adding people that you know are open to networking because you've got a heap of mutual friends, and you've got groups in common.
Mutual groups.
Exactly.
Awesome. That's a great tip. Absolutely. So once you have it up, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that the key with those, though, is consistency. If you just do that I'll post Monday this week and then 2 weeks later, Wednesday in that group, and I'll add a few friends today and then no friends for it. Like it's whichever one, if you can use all 3 of those or any of those, but the key is consistency.
So how often would you recommend? Because I these strategies you're telling me, I'm loving them, but I've worked on exactly the same myself. But for people listening, how often, because there's so many different opinions out there, would you recommend going into a group on a weekly basis, on a daily basis? What do you recommend?
Yes, good question. So if it's like a promo group, I would have that schedule there. And it's just like every Monday I post in this group, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday. And it should be easy because you've probably only got a handful of lead magnets anyway, right? You might have 4 of them. And it's just the exact same post for that week in all groups. And then the next week, the exact same post. Next week, exact same post. Next week, exact same post. And then the month later, you just repeat that again. Post 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So that's quite an easy one there. In terms of like and this is why I like having my own group as well, because it gets to a point where like if you're interacting in other groups, it's just a pain in the ass. It takes so much work, you know. That's why I like having my own group, and I do a bit of work at the start to get known or whatever. But once I have my own group, then I don't need to do anything. And I should add as well, sorry, the ideally what you want in your own Facebook group is get the algorithm to do the work for you. Right?
Yes.
These strategies I'm suggesting here are ideally just for the start. Once you get your group to about 500 to 1,000 people, assuming there's engagement going on in there and it's named correctly, it'll pretty much grow itself.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we're going for there.
Yeah.
But this is initially, you know, you got to do the work initially. In terms of like the friend requesting, it's pretty much up to you. Like whatever time you've got, that's an easy one, you know, just like go on there, like 20 friends today or whatever. And then the looking to connect one, you can't obviously do that every week because it'll look freaking weird if every week Carmel's like, who's from Australia, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, that one you'll spread out. But in terms of the promo and the friend requesting, it's pretty much like what I'll suggest. The most important thing is consistency. Where it's just like, one, I'm going to spend 20 minutes a day. I'm going to do a post and add some friends. Done. I'm going to do that every day. Right? Yeah. If someone's got 2 hours, okay, great. Spend more time doing it if you got.
Yeah.
You know? Depends what time the person has, but the key is whatever it is, do that every day, and it can be as quick as 20 minutes. You know?
Yeah. And you can, like, I mean, there's the search tool at the top of the group as well. You can search if it's something that you want to answer about video or marketing or something like that. You can always search and see the most recent questions people have asked, so you can add value there as well. So that's it's really good. So tell us about the engagement. I'm looking at the time. I think we'd have to do 2 or 3 episodes of this, but
All right. You want to do just engagement? We'll skip the sales and do engage. Oh, what's better for you?
Well, let's do three tips on engagement, if we could, and 3 on monetization. Just awesome. 3 quick ones. We'll bullet them.
Awesome. All right, cool. So the key with engagement is it doesn't just happen. Okay, a lot of people think they sign up a Facebook group. I'm going to have all these people in there. There's going to be so much engagement. It doesn't happen. Okay, and further still, you may get some engagement on your posts. That's the easy part. Okay, like if you can't do that, you're in a bit of trouble because you're the admin. The algorithm will favor you. You've got some positioning. People should know you in there anyway. You should know your audience. Like that's the easy part. The hard part is getting other people to post and then other people to answer the posts in there, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a numbers thing. A lot of people are like, if I just had more numbers, then I get more engagement. Doesn't work like that. You mentioned it, Carmel. You've seen groups with tens of thousands of people, no engagements. I compare it to a comedian. If there's a comedian and they gave a show in front of 100 people and no one laughed, and they came back and said, it just wasn't enough people. If it was 1,000 people, then someone would laugh. That's kind of what it's like with engagement.
Yeah,
right?
okay, I love that.
If you can't engage a group with 100 people, you're not going to engage it with 1,000. Okay, right. So it's important to be aware of that and have specific strategies in place. I've got actually 9 specific ones that I use that are all very simple. It's kind of similar to the growth ones where there is a little bit going on, but I'll share the overview and you can go deeper if needs be. But I'll just share some simple ones that anyone could do like now, right? So the easy, should I go? Yeah, okay. I'll share like a theory and then I'll go 3 specific ones, right? Because similar to the Facebook growth side of things, you need to have some things in place. Otherwise, these engagement tactics won't work, right? So one of the most important things is to have a no dickhead policy in your group, okay? Because Facebook is known for people that just abuse other people in the comments. You know, someone makes a comment, someone makes a post, and someone goes in the comment, "Oh, really? You know, if that's how you think, you shouldn't even be in the industry." You know,
yes.
Do you care about your clients if that's how you like? I don't want those people in my group, right? Because that discourages people from posting. Well, I've been not posting this group. People are going to criticize me and that sort of thing. So strict no dickhead policy. If someone's a dickhead in the comments, I just remove them straight away. I can't be bothered giving them a warning, or because they'll do it again. It's just the kind of people they are, you know. So once you do that, it creates a safer environment, and people are comfortable, you know, posting because they know people won't offend them. You know. The other thing is the promotions rule, right? That's a whole nother discussion there. But your group can't just be promotions, right? If you allow promotions any time,
it's very boring.
Yeah, and I don't even like the promo day, because what I find if you have a promo day is your group is just filled with people that go into that group to promo on that day. I know because that's what I did when I grew up.
And you know what? Some people teach that. I get it, but
it's like I like it to grow. My rule is I allow people to promote if they clear it with me first, right? Because I want to allow some promotion, because it's kind of like, if no one allows any promotion, well, no one's going to grow. You know, I want to give people some promotion, but I want to make sure it's cleared by me so that the whole group isn't just promos all the time, you know? And then also I can leverage that favor. Of course, you can promote in my group. Hey, can I promote in yours too? You know, or whatever it may be,
absolutely.
Right? But those two things are key. You need to have a nice environment, and you need to have some sort of limit on promotions, right? From there, here's 3 quick tips that I recommend anyone can do. The number 1 tip is a new member DM. So any new member that joins my group, I send them a DM. You know, hey, Carmel, welcome to the group. All my group members get a free copy of this thing here. It's cool if I send it on here. Carmel's 9 out of 10 times. No dramas. Great, here it is. Boom, on my lead magnet, I've started a conversation. I can lead that to a sales calls if needs be. But either way, what I recommend doing from there is asking that person to introduce themselves. Right? I'll ask a few questions first, but like before that, I'll essentially be like, awesome. Hey, Carmel, what I recommend doing is, have you made a post to introduce yourself yet? Hey, here's what I'd recommend. Make a post in the group and just say, hey, you know, I'm Carmel from insert location. My course topic is thing here. Anyone got any tips for a new course creator? And attach to a photo of yourself to make it more personal. I basically give them the script to say, introduce yourself. And if you scroll through my group, you'll see a lot of posts like that. People with photos introducing themselves, right? And there's a few things going on there. I'm not just asking the person to introduce themselves to make it a win for me, so my group gets engagement. It's a win for them. Every time I say that to someone, that's a sick idea, Jono. I can't wait to do that, because they do it and they get all these tips in the comments. And then it flows on from there. They're like, this is a sick group. I just make a question and all these people help me out. I'm going to post more questions in here.
Yes.
Right? And then that helps with the algorithm as well, because, you know, Carmel's posted a couple of questions in this group. Let's show her more of the stuff. And then the people that are commenting, you know, Jono always comments on this thing here. Let's show him more from this group there, right? And then the other people, even if I don't DM someone, because there's so many posts like that, people that join, this is what you do in this group. You just post a photo of yourself and introduce. I'm going to do that as well. So it gets the ball rolling there, and it builds the culture, okay? And then once it becomes part of the culture, you don't need to do it, right? So that's one easy tip there. Another easy tip as well is I have action tasks in my course, or if you're not a course creator, even if you're a lead magnet as well. So I help course creators, right? In all my courses and lead magnets, one thing I always have an action task, and it's a different thing every time, but I'm just going to simplify it here. And the action task is, hey, you know, here's the online platform I recommend. But what I recommend you doing, Carmel, is, you know, in the Facebook group, there's like 6,000 course creators in there. Go and make a post in that Facebook group and ask everyone what platform they recommend, right? Once again, a win for that person. I'm not just saying, I'll go and ask a question. You know, it's, hey, you want to know what the best platform is? Here's my recommendation, but go in the group and ask everyone else to get confirmation as well, right? And I know that that's a super engaging post, because everyone's so in the course.
Everyone wants to tell you, use mine, of course.
Exactly, you know. And once again, it gets the flow. Oh, this is sick. I posted a question in this group, and all these people are replying. I'm going to post again in here, and then the algorithm helps. Yada yada yada. All right, that's a very easy one that that people can do there as well. Another simple one is, and there's a few different ways you can do. Which one should I give? No, I'll give the feedback one, right? So let's say if you're an expert, you work with, you know, people, either they do your courses or they're a coaching client of yours, or maybe you even just help them out for free on social media. Most people get compliments, you know. Oh, Carmel, I did that tip you recommended, and that was awesome. I got all these clients, all these leads, or whatever it may be. Most people are a little bit shy. They're like, oh, thanks, Carmel. You know, maybe they'll screenshot it and post it in their group and be like, oh, here's Carmel. Look at the results she got. And that's okay. It's not a bad one. But what I think is better is if Carmel posts that. So if anyone DMs me with good feedback, my thing is, Carmel, that's great. I'm so happy you got the results. Hey, can you do me a favor? You don't mind posting that in the Facebook group, do you? Just post something like this, and then I'll give them a script to write as well.
Script as well.
And,
Yeah.
and then they'll go post it in there. Guys, if you haven't done Jono's course, it's awesome. I followed his advice and I made 7 sales and $7,000 and created my first course. And it's so much better coming from that person. Right?
1,000,000%. I love it. Yeah.
And then it has
cool.
the engagement too. And there's variation to that, but there's my 3 there.
Yeah, awesome. I'm looking at the time, but I'm going, I don't want to stop. Tell us about the monetization of it. So there's a lot of talk about this. Some people say, no, it's just community. I'm kind of the idea that I do want to get people off social media onto my email list as well. That's my whole strategy is kind of behind that. But tell me about monetizing a group.
Yes. So I use 3 specific strategies for that, right?
Yeah.
And actually, pretty much all of them are actually off the Facebook group. I use the Facebook group like as my lead generator and to build trust and that sort of thing as well. But most of my sales are done, actually all of my sales are done off the Facebook group. I don't make it, I might make the odd sale by making a post in the Facebook group, but that's not really what I use it for. I use that to build my audience and to fill up 3 different things. The first one is, as you mentioned, Carmel, the email list, right? And some simple ways to do that. The question to join the group. Hey, drop your email here if you want a free copy of my insert thing there, right? About 1 in 3 people that join my group, I get the email that way there. I also do a welcome post because maybe someone doesn't enter their email there. They don't trust me yet, right?
Yeah.
But you've been in the group a few days. My virtual assistant does a welcome post once a week, tags the new people in there, get leads that way there, okay? On top of that, there's the DM. Maybe someone didn't enter their email there. They didn't get the tag post. Send them a DM. Hey, do you want this free thing? Right? Yeah. Another option there. On top of that, I drop different like freebies and that sort of thing in that group as well. But if someone starts the group, or someone first joins the group, there's 3 opportunities to get the email there, right? The welcome questions, the welcome post, the welcome DM.
Yeah.
And then even if they miss all of those, which sometimes happens, I drop little things, every now and then in the group anyway to get people there. Okay, so that's kind of the email strategy. I use the Facebook group to fill my email list. Then I sell via email. That's a whole nother discussion there.
Yes,
right?
That's a deeper discussion. Yes, I get that.
Now, here's the thing. I love email. I've been doing this a while now. My email open rates are getting lower and lower every year, right? I just think it's kind of like the way the world is going. I think I still recommend 100% email. Still, there's so many different reasons to do it, but it's not in my opinion, it's not as powerful as it used to be. Still the best, but not as powerful as it used to be.
And a lot of emails end up in junk mail now, a lot more than they used to, and filters.
Exactly. And on top of that, it's kind of like there's 2 things that I'm seeing is happening. It's email marketing is now a lot harder because more people are doing it. The spam filters are harder and that sort of thing. And social media is easier because now it's kind of getting less about social media and more about business and that as well. Like
it's quick, easy now, isn't it? That's what people want. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So what I use that for is also that welcome DM. My goal, however, is to get that person onto a sales call. Right. Yeah. So I've essentially got a series of questions I ask to see if that person's a fit. So Carmel, what's your course topic? Oh, sweet. You creating the course or you've already created it? Oh, you're creating it? Hey, I do this online course thing all day, every day. I can give you some tips if you like. Yeah, sweet. Let's jump on a Zoom call. Here's my link. We'll book 15 minutes next week, right? So I use that strategy there. I use a bit of a filter to see if that person's a good fit, and then I get that person on a Zoom call. And then give a sales presentation on that Zoom call there, right? Yeah. So that's a good option if somebody's and it's kind of different skill sets, right? I like money, so I'll use anything I can to sell. Some people are going to be better with email. Some people are going to be better with Zoom or face-to-face. This way you can use both of those.
Yeah.
Right?
Awesome. Love it.
And the third way is like a happy medium between the 2. Because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, man, I hate emails. People send me all these emails and I hate it. I don't want to do that. I'm like, cool, you can do Zoom calls. Oh, I've got to speak to the person one-on-one and hard sell them. I don't want to do that. Well, the happy medium is the webinar, right? Yeah. You can run a webinar, which is essentially, you call it a 45-minute webinar and then a 15, 20-minute sales pitch at the end. And then similar sort of thing there. I'll use my Facebook group and my email list as well to fill out that webinar.
Yeah.
and then I'll do the webinar there. So they're the three different strategies I use there. They've all got their advantages and their disadvantages, and it depends on the person's skill set. But at least one out of those three will work. If someone says,
absolutely.
one of
And
those
we
three.
use that, and it is a numbers game. I'm like you, I love money too, Jono. It's a numbers game because I can get 100 people to register for a webinar, but I know before I start that webinar, you'll probably get 25 or 30 people that'll show up live.
Yeah.
And then out of that, then there's going to be
10,
a few
20%.
people that actually buy into it, and the percentage, people are just being inundated with so much stuff. But before we finish, tell me this, how important do you see in your journey of all of this has video become in your presentation, in your connection with people and all of that? Do you see it has become higher, or?
Sorry, ask that question again. Or the
how important has the importance of video become more prevalent? Has it become higher in your experience since you've been building groups?
Yeah, good question. Okay, so this is a good question, and it kind of depends. And I just want to apologize for everyone watching. I'm here in Sydney. I'm on the other side of Australia to Carmel, and it's getting dark.
Dark.
Yeah, I didn't put my light on. Yeah, that's right.
That's okay.
I probably look better in the dark anyway.
No, not at all. No, you don't.
So that's a good question, and it depends on a few different things. Let me think how to answer this. Okay, so in my fitness, because I've got two businesses, right? Fitness and Course Creator.
Course Creator.
In the fitness side of things, it's huge because fitness is such a video thing,
visual. You can say it's so easy. Yeah.
And that was the biggest growth I had in my fitness education online business was when I started doing live videos on Facebook. As soon as I started doing that, through the roof, right? On my Course Creator, I use a heap of video on the actual courses. That's grown. In terms of the actual like Facebook group stuff, I use a little bit of video because I do think it's important for the connection side of things, but also because it's a newer group as well. What I've found is I need to use both in that side of things. I think it's because it's like this is what I'm seeing happening, right? I think originally it was all social media was more written based.
Yes.
Then it became a lot more video based and more specifically live video based. On Facebook, I'm seeing it go to Reels is a different story. So Reels is kind of like that's what's
I know. I'm teaching a bit of Reels tomorrow in the workshop I'm doing. So that's a whole different horse.
Yeah. Now that's very like TikTok, Instagram, huge, right? On Facebook, I think there's a real opportunity for written content because what's happening now in my experience on Facebook is like the down point with video content is so long, right? If it's not a 15-second reel, like it's just kind of like so long. And I think that's great if you've got an engaged audience. So if you've already got an engaged audience, okay, great, can do it. But if the audience isn't engaged, like it's very hard to get someone to watch your 7-minute Facebook Live,
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas written, it can like people can scroll through and decide they like you. So it's a hard one for me to answer. It's just like, it's a hard thing for me. That's my thoughts on it. I don't have a good answer, but they're my kind of thoughts.
That's all. There's a lot of stats coming out, and as you say, Instagram, and there's talk of Facebook having Reels as well, because obviously Instagram and Facebook are together now. And I do know when you type into Google whatever you're searching for, one of the options will obviously be the video question, and people tend to look at that if they want to solve a problem really quickly because they look at somebody showing them how to do it. But look, it's been amazing having you, Jono. I think we'll have to get you back because, oh my God, you have shared so much gold with us. But I'm going to just show as well, if people want to get in contact with you, I'm just popping up on the screen here your Facebook group. So it's Course Creator Community. And tell us a little tiny bit about that group. You've told us some, obviously, but how many people are in it? How much do you love it? That sort of thing.
Yes, so it's I think about 6,000 people in there. So it's one in the Course Creator space. It's one of the largest and most engaged Facebook groups in the space. And what I recommend doing is join that group. Even if you're not a course creator, you can just check out my sales funnel. Go
Yeah.
join that group. What questions do I ask at the start? What's the procedure there? So I recommend joining the group even just for that there.
Yeah. And look, I'm in that group, and certainly I know that it's one of the groups, if I'm really stuck, I know where to go. But I do love reading some of the answers, and it is so engaged. As I said earlier, I see a lot of people with 10 and 15,000 in a group. And unless they're posting all the time, there's very little engagement. So it's like, oh, hang on, what's happening here? So I believe in what you say as well. Have a look at the groups and see the person's strategy for it. Take away the stuff. And with what you've shared with us today, you're fading away into the dark.
I'm looking better and better, right?
Not at all. So, Jono, I want to say a huge thank you. And I highly recommend, we've had a conversation before, I highly recommend hopping into Jono's Facebook group or getting in contact with Jono. He is a very generous guy. And if you're watching this on social media, make sure you ask any questions in here. Tag me or Jono. We'll make sure we answer them for you. If you're watching it on YouTube, put in the comments, and I will make sure that I pose the question to Jono if you can't tag him at that moment as well. So for now, Jono, thank you so much. It's been amazing to have you, and I look forward to catching up with you next time.
Awesome. Thank you, Carmel.
That's okay. Bye from me.